Hello everyone and welcome to a book review for Anything But Typical. This is a middle grade and it is written by Nora, Raleigh, Baskin. So for this book we are following a 12-year-old by the name of Blake. It is told in first person and Blake is autistic. So Nora is not autistic, so this is not an own voices book. Nora, from the little bit of research I was able to do, Nora talks about how she has mentioned how she did contact the autistic community and then wrote the book based on what she has learned from the autism community. Think of a lot of stereotypical things that you see with autism rep in this book. However, I do felt like it was, for a middle grade, it was very well done. The autism rep, I do feel like, again, very stereotypical as far as the struggles and the noises and stimming that people do. This is the second time I have seen a book written by someone who is not autistic where they mention barking. And just because you know one autistic person does not mean you know all autistic people. People experience them very differently. So I'm not saying that people don't do this stuff, but there's definitely other things that could have been presented in this book, I felt, but she did talk about it. Now, a lot of the things that I see that are very typical, stereotypical with people that are autistic is a lot of math and numbers and memory types, memorizing stuff and patterns. For this one, it's more word, which I liked. So there was a lot more with how this kid is very much gifted with words, might struggle in other areas, but language is very much a strong suit for this kid, to the point that he actually writes on this kind of a fan fiction type forum. And again, he's 12 years old, has trouble making friends, but he's able to connect with someone through this fan fiction place and maybe develop a friendship through that. So yeah, this is definitely a standalone, and this was published, also keep in mind, this was published in 2009. So would it, if it came out today, would it be probably handled a little bit differently? Very possible, because there is much more knowledge about people that are autistic or on the autism spectrum. There's a lot more known compared to when it was 2009. So I do think it might be written just a little bit differently had it been today, but I still think for a middle grade, I do recommend middle graders read this. I think it would help them learn, just because you see someone struggling with something may not mean they're being rude. It could be because they're autistic and they don't know how to handle certain situations. So that's pretty much all I can say. It is very short. It is less than 200 pages. It's 195 pages, at least this particular edition. And that's pretty much all I can say without entering the spoiler territory. So again, this is a standalone. It was published in 2009. I did listen to the audiobook with this. The audiobook is 3 hours and 36 minutes. I listened to it on Scribd, and it is narrated by Tom Parks. And I do feel like Tom did a fairly good job with this. So again, the author is not autistic, and this is told in first person. So a couple of words a couple of trigger warnings to be aware of. You have animal death, and this is not some random animal death like from an animal fight. It is not animal abuse, okay? So please, that is a relief, but it is death of an animal, and this is death of a family pet. So that makes it a little bit more harder, and yes. Now, you also have trigger warning for someone being referred to as defective because they are autistic, that they are defective. And that is not the case at all. But there are people who want to cure autism in the world today because they think that it is something that is defective in people and should be cured. And I do not agree with that. You are not defective if you're on the autism spectrum or are not neurotypical in any way. You are not defective. You are not broken. Okay? I had to learn that because I thought that about myself. I thought I was defective and broken, but you are not, okay? You are not. I am not. I had to learn that myself, and you are not defective and you are not broken. Okay. So you do, and that comes up twice in the book. The other thing is Jason, who loves to write, ends up writing a story about dwarfism, and you can see how he relates people who do have the dwarfism gene, how some of the things they might struggle with might be similar to people who are autistic with thinking they're broken or defective or things like that, and wanting to just fit in with society and not have the struggles that they struggle with. So he relates a lot of what he struggles with the autism, with the thoughts and process of someone who has dwarfism. So, and Jason's story about dwarfism is a work of fiction. So do keep that in mind as well as the writer is 12 years old in this particular book. So, a couple of things. The word God comes up at least once, and I think it actually comes up more, but I was on the wrong page when I was tallying this, and so probably comes up at least 3 or 4 times throughout this book. But where I tallied it on the wrong page, I can't say for sure. So, but definitely comes up at least the once, but I think it's actually closer to 3 or 4 times. The other thing, this can be very bothersome to some people. The other word that comes up is retard. I do say that because I have been called retard or retarded before. So I have been called that name as a child by another child. So not a nice word. It is in here. I don't like saying it, but I've been called it, so I know what it's like to be called that when you are not. And I don't like anyone being called that word at all, but it does come up in this 3 times. Again, this was published in 2009, so do keep that in aware. So that's really it. That's all the words that I can think of that came up in this book that I could see being bothersome to some people, as well as the content warning and things like that. So have you read anything but typical? What are your thoughts on this? This was the August selection for the Autism Reads Discord that I host. This is a year-long readathon. It will be changed up a little bit come 2024. I will make more of an effort to make sure that the authors of the books that I select for the year are actually on the autism spectrum, that it is confirmed by themselves that they are autistic, or if someone is maybe nonverbal, that their family member that helps them or their caretaker does confirm that they are autistic. So I will make more of an effort, as well as a lot of the books for 2023 ended up being middle grade. I will make more of a concerted effort to rotate between age categories. So adult, young adult, and middle grade, at least one every season, so to speak, so one every 3 months. So that is the goal. Yes, again, this was the selection for August. Let me know if you've read this, what your thoughts are. Have you read anything else by Nora Raleigh Baskin? She has written other books. Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.